be.
I believe it's
different than
pronounced
normal.
mischievous.
Oh.
And good evening. It is May 15th, 2019, 7 p.m. I'll call this meeting of the Stow Board of Selectmen to order. It should be a very brief meeting. It's our annual reorganization meeting. Want to officially welcome our new select person, Courtney Fresha. Courtney, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I would like to congratulate you on your
On my-
smashing reelection
On my smashing reelection,
as well, and willingness
I
to
think I
serve
beat
yet again.
blanks, so thank you. So even though it isn't formally on our agenda, I will use the chair's prerogative to make a couple of announcements. No one's gonna object that I announce that, as everyone ought to know, Springfest
Mm.
is this Saturday. Now, does it technically begin Friday like it usually
Friday.
does?
Yes.
I was gonna say, is there an ice cream social?
Mhm.
Yep.
Ice cream social on Friday, and is silent movie night happening?
Mhm.
Yes.
Silent movie night on Friday. The heart of Springfest, I guess, is at Center School on Saturday, on Saturday, 10 to 3.
Weather's gonna be great.
Weather's supposed to be great?
Mm.
Okay. Are there Sunday activities?
There's also a.
The run is on Saturday.
The run for the kids is
The
on,
concert.
And there's a concert on Saturday night from 7 to 9, I believe, at Hale. Not Hale, at Pompo.
okay.
Move.
Sounds of Stow.
So Springfest.
And just to throw in a plug for one of the people who is supporting us, there will be free hay rides.
Oh, okay.
I know something about that.
Don does the hay rides, so.
Driving.
And then also I want to announce the Stow Highway Department is joining hundreds of public works departments from across New England to collect food and household goods to support local community food bank needs. And this is called Fill a Public Works Truck Food Drive, and it's occurring on National Public Works Week which is May 19th to 25th, mark your calendars, and it will support the Stow Food Pantry. They will have collections taking place at Shaw's on Monday the 20th, which is next Monday from 9 to 11. Next Wednesday, the 22nd, from 10 to 12 at it says Common Road / Randall Library, so I assume that's outside the library. And Friday, May 24th, from 11 to 1, again at Shaw's. And any questions on this can be directed to Mike Clayton, our Superintendent of Streets, 978-897-8071. So that's great, that's something new. It's great they're doing that. All right, our annual reorganization. Do I have any nominations for chair? Mr. Burke.
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate a man who in the space of one short year has taken us out of the dark times
Here
of
we
Stowe
go.
municipal government. Time we were rudderless, adrift, purposeless. A time,
Was that when you were chair?
yes, a time
That's why he
during
knows-
that
that's why he knows
leadership,
so much about it.
during that leadership that should be stricken from the records of Stow's annals of history. A man who has proven over this past year that he can provide this board with the right leadership. And a man who, while not of a stature as the giants that we've had in recent past, at least is ogre-sized in comparison
Is that ogre?
to ogre-sized in comparison. I nominate James Salvi for chair for the coming term.
Second.
Probably the most thought-out nomination we've had
In the
about-
history of the
in
town.
the history of the town.
I'm not sure
I
about
wanna
the
thank
ogre
you.
part, but.
I want to thank you for the brief parts of that were flattering. Thank you. Any other nominations? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close nominations.
Discussion?
Oh, discussion, sorry.
I just want to add my heartfelt support before we're asked to raise our hands. The year, kidding aside, the board has tackled some very serious stuff, and as one member of this board, it's my pleasure of serving with you the entire 7 years. I'm delighted to see that you were willing to continue for another year in this role.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And if you thought the last year was challenging, wait till the next year when well, let's not even get into it, but we're going to have challenges of a different sort to deal with. Any further discussion?
I echo Don's
It's-
opinion. I think you've done a great job as chair, and I'm happy that you got reelected, and I'm happy and thrilled that you're willing to continue on as chair.
Thank you, everyone. This is starting to feel like I'm hearing my own eulogy.
Got the flowers.
Yes.
Well, I would
appreciate
echo
that.
as much of that
Thank
as
you,
I
Courtney.
did. I haven't been here for the last
It's-
7 years.
During the 5 minutes that we've been selectmen together, I guess I've done a fine job. I appreciate it. Okay.
You haven't-
Anybody else? Maureen, you want to pitch
It's all
in?
downhill.
So-
I'm good with you.
Go ahead.
Then, Mr. Chair, maybe we should do it by acclamation.
Well, let's just take a vote. All those in favor of me serving as chair again for the next year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, I'll vote in favor too, so that's unanimous. I appreciate that very much, that vote of confidence. It's been a pleasure, and like I said, next year is going to be at least equally as challenging.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Would
Mr.
you like
Vice.
another motion?
I would. The next on the agenda is the nomination of the clerk, and just for those watching at home, clerk is our somewhat archaic term for the vice chair, the person who chairs the meetings when the chair is absent, but also the person who takes minutes when Maureen can't be here.
And there's one or two things that pop up under the old general laws that require the clerk's signature.
Yes.
Not very often, but
The clerk spends a lot of time with Pam Landry signing bonds. I warned Courtney of that, so.
okay, Mr. Chairman, it's my pleasure to nominate our newest member, and Courtney Fresher, to serve the next year as clerk.
Second.
Motion is made and, nominations are made and seconded for Courtney Fresher to serve as clerk. Any further nominations?
I think she'll do a fine job.
She will do a fine job. Sort of a semi-tradition, as we were discussing, of the new, or one of the new selectmen serving as clerk. It's a good introduction to how the place runs. Courtney, this is your last chance. You can, you can object or forever hold your peace.
I don't yet have an objection.
Okay. Very good.
Not yet.
Smart.
She shows promise.
You can always resign later on.
That's what I figured.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Courtney Fresha is the clerk. Congratulations, Courtney.
Thank you.
And thank you for being willing to step up and do that. So we traditionally keep this agenda very short. I just wanted to add one other thing. As we know, the Lower Village issue continues to percolate along. And one thing, we had named Ingeborg as our representative to the Lower Village Working Group. That is a somewhat informal group that Jesse is consulting with periodically and has been consulting with over time. We had a brief discussion during one of our April meetings and asked Ingeborg if she would be willing to continue to serve in that capacity, and she indicated yes. I verified that. We certainly have to have a representative to the Lower Village Working Group, especially at this particular time. I am throwing out for the board's consideration the fact that Ingeborg Hageman Clark seems to be continued to serve in that role. There doesn't appear to be a need that it be an active selectman. And of course, Ingeborg has a fairly relevant background. She's in that business. Any discussion on this? Anybody
I'm
want-
in favor
anybody
of
else
that
want-
as I was before.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, I mean-
she's been doing a good job.
My feeling was that we were good with it a couple weeks ago. I just want to make sure everybody still feels that way.
Well, just for the record, Mr. Chairman, I move
Yes,
that
I would like a vote.
Ingeborg Hageman Clark be appointed by us, or designated by us, to serve as our representative to the Lower Village Working Group.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to have Ingeborg Hageman Clark continue to serve as our representative to the Lower Village Working Group. Any further discussion? I would just add one thing. I've asked Ingeborg if she can come to our next meeting on the 28th to brief us what's going on. We're on a short timeframe, and I think we could use an update as soon as possible, and that's the 28th. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay? Okay, that was unanimous. And finally, Maureen sent us 3 sets of minutes. Thank you, Maureen.
Sure.
I believe they were April 9th, April 23rd, and our brief meeting before town meeting on May 6th. Have my colleagues had a chance to review these draft minutes?
Chairman, I'll note for the record, I was absent for the 2 meetings in April, so I do not participate in that discussion.
Okay. Oh, both in April, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Any comments? As always, we rely on Eagle Eye Mr. Ryan for things. I found one thing, but,
On the, if you want to take up the April 9th.
I'm sorry, yes, let's take up April 9th first.
I move to accept the minutes of April 9th with edits.
Second.
So for discussion, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of April 9 with edits. Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, one of the things on the first page, I think when we go into executive session, there's a roll call vote. It said it was unanimous, which would imply that everybody said so. It just wasn't consistent with the one from the 23rd, where it was listed as a roll call vote going into.
So that's a very good catch. Thank you. So on April 9th, when we go into executive session, it should list our names. I'm positive that we did it the right way.
Yeah, I know we did.
Yeah.
And it's the same coming out also, that meeting convened in an open session after a roll call vote.
All right.
Other than that, one of the things that I did question, and I ended up looking back at the motions, but it seemed kind of funny to me that, this is on page 2, the appointment of the call firefighters, that we appointed them for a 1-year term expiring June 30, 2019. So that this was really, a 2-month appointment.
The remainder of a 1-year term.
I actually looked back to what we did, so.
And was it June 30th, 2019?
Yep, and that's what we moved, at least that's what we had written down. I was just wondering whether, and I've got a call into Chief Landry, whether the intent was for it to be 2020. If not, he'll be coming back in the next couple of weeks. And, we
Yeah.
can fix it then, but I just wanted to bring it up that it seemed kind of funny that we were appointing them for a 1-year term ending 2 months from now.
I have a feeling, because they're all subject to 1-year terms.
Right.
So,
I'm wondering if it should have been 2020 and we just made the wrong motion.
I think I'd like to edit this to say for the remainder of a 1-year term. And then let's just tell Chief Landry to be sure to ask that all these people get reappointed
Okay.
in June when we do our usual
Yep.
reappointments.
Yeah, I just didn't want Chief Landry thinking that
Right.
they'd all been appointed through 2020.
Well, because the problem is, if we change this to June 30th, 2020, that means the appointment doesn't go into effect until July 1, 2019.
And
So I think it's better to do it this way. So we'll say for the remainder of a 1-year term expiring.
yeah.
That was my recollection of the events too. You can always go to the tape, but if they don't have to come back in June, we can just
Point of
do the
information.
math.
Oh, they don't have to come back, we'll just
Yeah.
reappoint them, yeah.
But sometimes they feel like they have to, but.
Yeah,
Were these new appointees or,
yes, they were new.
oh, yes, that
Except,
would be logical.
except one of them was also
A
promoted to
promotion.
lieutenant.
But they were all new to their
Right.
positions. Okay, those are good catches. So anything else on those?
No, that's.
Okay,
all I
so,
had.
thank you, Tom. So with those 2 edits, motion has already been made and seconded to accept the minutes of April 9 with edits. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
And we have Ms. Fresha and Mr. Hawks abstaining, and the other 3 voting in favor. And minutes of April 23. Comments. Mr. Ryan, I'll lead with you.
I believe that when we did the April 23rd, we convened an executive session, but we didn't meet with the planning board that night. I got a feeling that this might have been a cut and paste.
Yes, we did not.
This is the assessors.
That
Could I
was, we
see-
just met with the assessors, and it was, as shown by it being a 5-minute meeting in
Yes.
executive session.
Yes.
So I think.
I thought it
that-
said assessors.
It says assessors, but, and then.
Oh,
and
on the second one it
thereafter,
says planning board. You're right.
Planning board, which we did not.
You're right.
So-
Do you see that, Maureen, on
Yeah. Mhm.
the italicized paragraph? The first line has
Right.
assessors, then the other ones have planning board, so it's just assessors.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burke. You needed
I
to.
didn't run off my hard copy, if I could just take a look at it.
Is that all you had?
I've got something else on the second page, second and third page, I think.
Okay, this is fine, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
On the special liquor license for Springfest, I recall my motion was to also waive the fee.
Okay. That's right.
And
Did you get that, Maureen?
No, what, okay.
for the one-day license
Yep.
for the Springfest,
Mhm.
the motion that I made, it also waived the fee.
Okay,
I figured there's no
Oh,
point
right,
taking
right.
$25 from
Right.
the Springfest committee to put it back into
right.
the town's coffers. I know I made that way. And the only other thing that I was looking at is, under the Minuteman, I don't know if, maybe it was this way, that the McPhersons was gonna be retiring, and sell the airport. I think it was more that they were succession planning versus just selling.
I agree with Mr. Ryan.
Okay.
So they came to talk to us about succession planning for the airport. And that may include a sale, that, who knows, they may decide to hire.
Could you do me a favor and give Maureen some language on that? Just so we don't have to wordsmith it right now. Well, I don't wanna bring it back next time. We have a lot of minutes to get through.
And I think all, the McPhersons announced they would,
How about
soon be
that?
retaring, and wanted to talk to us about succession planning.
About the future of the
and
airport.
How about-
future succession planning.
So how about, the McPhersons announced that they would be retiring within the next 3 to 5 years, and have and wanted, and talked to the selectmen about succession planning for the airport.
Yes, I think that's perfect.
And by the way, there's no fear in McPherson. He always explains
Oh,
pronunciation.
yes.
And that's all I had on that.
So, thank you again. Anybody else have any comments? And, so, motion's been, do I have a motion? I don't think I have a motion on the April 23.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes of April 23, 2019 with edits. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and
Abstain.
abstentions. So it's again 3 in favor, and Ms. Fresha and Mr. Hawks abstaining.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
I move to approve the minutes of the pre-town meeting, Board of Selectmen meeting on May 6th.
I have some edits, so maybe you can make that motion with edits.
We did it.
It looks like you were, had the same comment,
Yeah.
kind of comments that I
Somebody
did.
seconded it?
I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. So my only comment on this is, and I think it's Mr. Ryan's too, is that at the end of the big paragraph, we get a little bit too much into stuff that was discussed in executive session. And I obviously don't want to go into detail because we're not in executive session now. So, my suggestion was, now you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pass this around, starting down there. I think my edits are legible, and ask my colleagues to take a real quick look at them.
I see, and I had that thought, and to be entirely accurate, that's not that doesn't capture exactly, well, it's a pretty good job, Maureen, given the fact that I was musing. But I tend to agree that it is unnecessary to,
Yeah, it's more like there was a little too much detail,
Okay.
yeah,
so I.
we
removed some of the
appreciate
detail.
that, but
No problem.
Probably doesn't need to be in.
Yes, that caught my attention as well.
It's an accurate summary of what was discussed, it's just, for purposes of a written document, I don't see a need to be so detailed.
Same thoughts. We
And,
don't need to be discussing, we weren't really discussing legal strategy.
Right.
it wasn't so much legal strategy, I was responding to some criticisms from a previous meeting that I had been vague, so I was trying to be more explicit, but again, it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
There was, so,
So, a
we'll
motion
take
been-
out what I shouldn't have said the first meeting.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of May 6th as amended. Mr. Fox?
on the item dealing with my comments about lake boom rules, I would just like to add one more sentence in there, or clarify, say that Mr. Hawks stated it was his intention to move no action at town meeting.
Can you just interlineate the copy I gave Maureen? Can I have that back?
Yep.
Just using Latin again.
I am, no, that's not. I think it's the right, I think I used that word appropriately.
I'm not saying you didn't, but
I'm not sure.
it's a highfalutin word.
Is that
Okay.
is that different from delineating? You should-
Yes, it is.
So while you're doing that, any further discussion on these minutes? So let's go to a vote, he can make his edit. All those,
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna strike about the advantageous to come back to vote and say, stated that he will move no action on this article.
okay.
Works for me.
I agree.
No,
And for the record, you did.
no action.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, all those in favor of the May 6th minutes as edited, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, abstentions, Ms. Fresha is abstaining. So 4 in favor.
That's the last time you get to do that.
That's the last time she gets to do it. All right, we have no further business.
Move to adjourn.
Properly before, the motion,
Second.
motion to adjourn, non-debatable, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.